who is actually an introvert?
When you look about the temperament list, you realize that an introvert is someone who is reserved.
Mm.
It's not too outgoing. Someone who has a rich depth of thought, very rich depth of imagination. He or she prefers to be alone, not highest one or two persons, not with a crowd. So it's a genetic trait, it's an inborn trait. It's not a social disorder. As many people might assume. People are born with it. So it affects how they communicate. It affects the audiences they face, people they relate with too. So if you come across an introvert, it's easy to even spot one. Get into a room, you see that some people are chatting, some people are doing teamwork, while if you or some prefer to do their work alone, sit alone, then do certain things alone. So it's also a blessing being an introvert.
What's the biggest difficulty of an introvert? What from your experience as a community development expert with persons daily, what have you seen to be the biggest difficulty that introverts face every blessed day?
I think to overcome fear is a big challenge. Because at all times an introvert feels he or she is afraid to reach out, to do certain things. But in their mind, they have made up their mind to do these things. But when it's time to take an action, they're like, what will people say? In academics, you see certain people, they are better at research, not good at teaching.
Yes.
If you've been in the sciences, you might come across such lecturers. Those are introverts. Give them any research to do, they will work it out excellently, meticulously, write it down, everything. But tell them, come and
teach what you've researched.
They won't be
That's the problem.
give out what they did. So such people need to know that with what they have been able to do in the private, you need to build certain confidence, then come out and teach it. You have that same quality to the public. When it comes to an introvert, the private time to challenge. Sometimes you think they are judging themselves, so
they are taking this life too serious. Those effective way of communicating your thoughts to the public, at least addressing the public at any point as an introvert.
Yeah, that's fine. Before you go to the public, you have a topic.
Hello viewers, it's a great moment to have you all here again. This is Uproots the Issue podcast, a segment of podcasts that uproots every issue bordering on oneself, the society, the family, and an organization. And so in today's edition, we'll try as much as possible to center our discussion on this issue that is bothering you as a person, which is addressing the public as an introvert. Are you an introvert? Do you have that difficulty of articulating your thoughts to over 1,000 persons? Join us as we start up this conversation. Of course, I'm not doing this alone. I have a researcher, a writer, and a community development expert here with me in the studio. So I will give him the opportunity to introduce himself. Okay, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Ekemini Ekwere, and as the writing said, I'm a researcher, a farmer, community development expert, and a writer. So we are here today to discuss on what it means to be an introvert and then how to overcome it easily.
All right. Thank you very much. You are very free at any point in time to call me your host, Ekemini Ekwere. So let's roll the dice of this conversation. All right, sir. You see, the biggest problem to some person is facing the crowd, like having a discussion or trying to spell out your ideas to over 100 persons, while some see it as a very easy thing to do. So, who is actually an introvert?
Okay, when you look about the temperament list, you realize that an introvert is someone who is reserved.
Mm,
He's not so outgoing. Someone who has a rich depth of thoughts, a very rich depth of imagination. He or she prefers to be alone,
mm,
not highest one or two persons, not with a crowd. So it's a genetic trait, it's an inborn trait. It's not a social disorder,
mm.
as many people might assume. People are born with it. So um it affects how they communicate. It affects the audiences they face, the people they relate with too. So if you come across an introvert, it's easy to even spot one. Get into a room, you see that some people are chatting, some people are doing teamwork, while a few or some would prefer to do their work alone, sit alone, then do certain things alone. So it's also a blessing being an introvert
Mm.
because it gives them an opportunity to think more. They are very deep when it comes to their wealth of thoughts.
Mm.
They think more, they analyze more. In fact, they can criticize more too,
Wow.
because from their background, they are reserved. So what they are seeing is different from the social view. They are very objective.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, comparing introverts with extroverts, does it mean that the extroverts kind of they are not rich in terms of thoughts and
Well, nature is diverse,
mm,
so to say. An extrovert is easily outgoing, can easily be convinced to
mm,
social, relates very, very well. So, but an introvert is not, it's not that social. But I believe that the people could have a balance of in between of the two, a little of this, a little of that. But a greater percentage indicates that you must be one, or you have to be one, either an extrovert.
an introvert? Wow. And so you just emphasize a point that actually caught my attention, that it is hereditary. You can inherit it from the parents, and that lead. Actually, there's this in the temperament list. I discovered that these introverts, they are of two kinds. We have the melancholic and the phlegmas. The melancholic, those that are very, very much. Those ones are error. They don't joke with errors. While the phleg are people that are really open, they are accommodating in nature. And so that leads me to the question: how can I possibly identify, spot out, oh, this is an introvert, and this particular introvert is either a flake or a melancholy?
Yeah, like you rightly said, temperaments they differ a lot. Tim Lahi has written a whole lot, spoken a whole lot about those issues. It's easy to identify some of these persons. Like if you see someone who is good at writing, his mindset is that of a photography. He kind of magnifies certain things, creates a picture of what he has imagined, and then he's good at writing.
Very well.
Like the phlegmatic you talked about is a bit social, a little bit social. Even within the introvert, we have those social class.
Yes.
Those are the people who can confuse you and you think they're extroverts too.
Yeah.
But they are not, they
I
have
know.
limits. Yes. So when you see those ones, they can communicate a bit with some people, move around, do certain things. It's easy to identify those threats if you are very observant.
Mm.
A class of students, you give a task, you see how they handle it. Probably you're going on an excursion, you give certain tasks, you see how people react, how children react. You can begin to predict that this one is this one is this. You see the one who is a talkative, who is possibly on sit here, do this, do that. The difference is clear.
How about those ones that will be up and down, beating this one, bullying the other?
Yes, those ones too, their strength, their energy is good. But you see, when it comes to an introvert, they need a private time to recharge.
Mm.
At times you think they are judging themselves so much. They
Are taking this life too serious.
yes, yes. So identifying those traits and then being able to advise themselves
Mm.
very well on it. It's not bad. It's good.
Wow. Oh, okay. And we have just learned now that being an introvert, it's all about being reserved. And one thing you need to understand is that this set of individuals are very rich when it has to do with creativity, creating, captivating their thoughts and articulating ideas. So rich in content. This conversation is getting more insightful. Are you an introvert? You find it very difficult to communicate your thoughts before thousands of persons, that's the crowd. Or addressing the public is your worst nightmare. As much as you can, roll your hands into this conversation as we keep on rolling the dice of this conversation. If you are new and you've not subscribed to our channel, please locate the subscription button and click on the subscription icon. Okay, sir. So before we actually move in to call this a wrap, I would love to ask this question. What's the biggest difficulty of an introvert? What from your experience as a community development expert with persons daily, what have you seen to be the biggest difficulty that introverts face every blessed day?
To overcome fear is a big challenge
Mm.
because at all times an introvert feels he or she is afraid to reach out to do certain things. But in their mind, they have made up their mind to do these things. But when it's time to take an action, they're like, what will people say? They tend to feel like they listen much, they want to listen much to the public rather than to themselves. Unlike an extrovert who will easily do something, whatever anybody says, I don't care. But that fear, overcoming that fear, is a challenge.
Mm.
Because that's where you need to build your mindset, nurture it, fertilize it, grow it properly to be able to overcome that fear. Once you are able to overcome the fear, it's good. Let me say an example. I belong to totally boys' school.
Mm.
My secondary school, post-primary, I was in a boys' school. Among boys, we can talk, we can play.
Yes, as if.
But if girls are there and they're not our sisters, they're not our relatives, we are reserved. Yes, except for those of us who came from a large family, they had sisters, they had relatives, and they were already used to talking to them. But when we grew, those of us who could not attend the priesthood, who left to the university, we had a difficulty communicating with girls initially. But with time, we built the confidence. Realize that the girl could be your sister, it could be your friend, it could be your business partner, it could be your study mate. You have to interact, you have to ask questions.
Yes.
So, and you also realize that this fear was not only to us, the boys. It also happened to the girls who came from the girls'
school. Yes.
Some of them were afraid. At the sight of a boy, they are afraid. But when we started building, we did some social courses and we realized that we had limitations as humans, and we started building on those things. With time, we were able to merge. The breach, the gap, that fear gap was breached. And then you could talk to, hello, how are you? Oh, you look good. What course are you doing? Oh, are you in my department? And you move ahead. No ill feeling, no guilt. So that's one way of overcoming fear. There are people who can't market. They feel they won't market. They can't market. They are naturally afraid of marketing. Even when they have the best of products to push to the society. But they are so afraid. Such people need to know how to create their stories. They need to know how to target a niche, create their stories, push it to that niche, and then have it in mind that not everybody will accept what you sell. So if you've nurtured your mind to that extent, that you can sell to 10 people, it's only one that will buy. You can sell to 100 people, it's only 2 or 3 that will buy. But with time, when the quality of your content keeps re-echoing, people will keep seeing, they'll keep hearing you, they'll suddenly buy into it. So another thing is, at that level, that initial setback can make you to be afraid or to conclude that you failed. Meanwhile, you've not failed. It's just the starting point. Once you are able to strike it again, your winnings will make your fears to be reduced. So once you've won again. Victory. That will strengthen your resolve. And you know that, well, even being an introvert doesn't mean that you can't sell. You can sell. You are the best of the designer. You are the best of the creative artist. You are the best of the writer. So what you need to do is leverage on those things. Where your strength is much, leverage on it. Build on it. Ensure that it is rich enough that when giving out, even if you say you are targeting 50 people, you say I'll sell to 200 people. By the time you target 200 people, you get out your 50. Because the wealth of your content is enough. And then you also have criticism. You know, introverts, they seems to they're afraid of criticism.
Yes.
You must learn to accept criticism.
At all points.
It's part of growth. For your growth curve to move forward, you must review criticisms. The ones you need to work on, you work on. The ones you feel they are biased, you discuss with people that are ahead of you. You have mentors who help you work certain things out. Now, in academics, you see certain people, they are better at research, not good at teaching.
Yes.
If you've been in the sciences, you might come across such lecturers. Those are introverts. Give them any research to do. They will work it out excellently, meticulously, write it down, everything. But tell them, come and
teach what you've researched.
They won't be able
That's the problem.
give out what they did. So such people need to know that with what they have been able to do in the private, you need to build certain confidence, then come out and teach it. Give out that same quality to the public.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you guys, what you just said now, I remember that time that we were on 2 different occasions. I went for an MC job at Mwangiba. So stepping in now, I had to engage the audience. It was a kind of a student event. So the freshers now. Immediately I entered the crowd, trying to. The first person I reached out to was a female student. I asked her a question, gave her the mic, but she she waved off the microphone. And I was like, "How are you?" Another one was during when we were having lecture. One of our lecturers was actually teaching that very day. So with the public address system now, he asked the guy, Plato said so many things about justice, but can you help us tell us one? But this guy is very intelligent, though. Not that he's not, or he lacks what to say, or he's. But it's just that fear of communicate. Because so many persons I have come to realize that it's not really about the content. They have that content, but the fear of communicating the content is the problem. So that leads us to the final question. What are those effective? Because I've come to realize that many people say, before you have to speak well, you need to become a public speaker. You need to become an extrovert. You need to be very good enough. So what are those effective way of communicating your thoughts to the public, at least addressing the public at any point as an introvert?
Okay, that's fine. Before you go to the public, you have a topic. It is believed or it's known that you should research enough on your topic. Ask questions, add your own natural wealth of experience to it, review it again and review it again. Practice, they said, makes perfect. As an introvert, if you take enough time to practice what you want to give out, you realize that nobody will be able to know if you are an introvert or an extrovert.
An extrovert, yeah.
Because you've used your own natural talent, which is your reservoir of depth, of creativity, of thinking, to put things in place. And after that, you've rehearsed. A typical example is I once had a presentation to do on a topic outside my field. I so much loved that topic. I was like, how am I going to do it? Because I'm presenting it to people who are experts in that field. I subjected myself to a 3 months mentorship in that field. I asked lots of questions. They were like, oh, why are you asking all these kind of simple questions? So then it was embarrassing. I was asking, I was learning. That's when I came in new into the development practice. But after I had gathered all these questions, I went to another team. I played certain things with them. I got certain information from them. The day I made the presentation, they were shocked. They felt that was my area of core competence.
Yeah.
Because I had practiced enough, I had asked enough questions, I had moved around, studied the systems that surrounded all those things, so that all questions they asked, I was able to answer perfectly well.
Wow. This is interesting. This is a very great moment of learning. So, sir, before we call it a wrap, in just one, let's say a sentence, what is your advice to the adult, the individual, the professional that is viewing this particular episode, the introvert? So what is your advice to the person?
Use what you have to your advantage. That's my advice.
Wow, it was a fantastic moment with Mr. Ekemini. As much as I want to use this opportunity to appreciate his presence here. I believe you learned too. And I will leave you with this statement: use your strength to your advantage. Thank you very much for viewing this particular episode. Believe me, you can get better as an introvert. You can become the best version of your life. Until next episode, please try and subscribe so that you'll be updated with further videos that will come up. Your host, Ekemini Ekwere.